Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. Russell Westbrook versus Kevin Durant. Is the beef over? Skip claims the beef was serious and personal for Russell and confirms the two are on talking terms. Shannon declares he had a certain perception of Lavar Ball, but after he walked off set, he has no problem with Lavar and says he's getting himself a pair of Lonzo's shoes. Rob Parker is here, and he calls LeBron James more Larry Holmes than Muhammad Ali for the competition he has faced in the East. The feud between Ray Allen and the rest of the 2008 Celtics was on full display last night. Skip, Shannon, and Rob all have a lot to say about this. Fox Sports NFL analyst Greg Jennings agrees with Dak Prescott that the Cowboys are just scratching the surface and predicts another great season for America's team. Skip and Shannon, let's debate. Let's get it started with the most talked about exes in the NBA. The feud between Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant could finally be over. Their former teammate, Kendrick Perkins, told TNT last night that Westbrook and Durant talked to each other after Russ broke the triple-double record last month. Perkins also said the beef between the two, quote, really wasn't too serious, and he could even see Durant returning to Oklahoma City. So if you forgot, it all started when Russ posted a picture of some cupcakes on the 4th of July, which was a shot at Durant. Then in November, Russ wore a photographer's vest to a game, which was apparently a subtle shot at KD, who likes photography. Then when the Thunder and Warriors played in February, Russ and Durant got into it on the court with Westbrook yelling, "I'm coming," at KD. So Skip, what do you make of this?
Yes, Skip, what do you
First of all, Joy and Shannon, I did confirm that they have indeed talked.
Okay.
I'm not completely sure it was Durant who first reached out to Westbrook, but I'm pretty sure it was Kevin who made the first move because that was the only way this was going to ever come about in the first place.
Right.
Now, quickly to what Kendrick Perkins said last night on TNT about how he was trying to figure out a way to make them talk again because, to quote him, I felt like the outside world was putting a beef there that really wasn't too serious. So here we go again. It's kill the messenger, blame the media for this beef. Shannon, I think you're with me on this part of this. It was a serious beef. It was, on Russell's part, an angry beef. Deep, dark, angry beef. Because, just to remind everybody, it was Russell Westbrook who felt blindsided by Kevin Durant on July 4th. He did not see this coming, and furthermore, he did not get to hear about it straight from the horse's mouth from Kevin Durant, who merely texted him, hey, guess what? I'm going to Golden State.
Right.
And it didn't sit well with Russell because he thought they were off the court, they were very close. On the court, not so much, but Kevin never expressed that to Russell. Whether you have respect for that, I don't know. But Kevin's like too nice of a guy. He's always struggling, like too nice or not nice enough, whatever. But he just was afraid to ever make it clear to Russell privately that I don't like you ball hogging. I don't like you shot hogging. I don't like you as the primary decision maker and ball handler on this team, excluding me too often on trips down the floor, especially in crunch time.
Correct.
So finally, Kevin Durant just got sick and tired of it after all those years, and he said, I'm going to go join forces with the best team in basketball to maximize my chances to win a ring in my 10th season, because he just wasn't sure he was ever going to win one with Russell Westbrook. But then, as Joy so accurately pointed out to start this topic off, then it started to come apart. We got the cupcake shot, we got the photographer's bib shot, we got the shot that it sounded like Kevin took back at Russell about I wanted to play with selfless players. Yeah. Remember that one?
Yes.
And Russell's response was, oh, that's cute. I guess I better go work with my selfish players that I'm stuck with here in Oklahoma City. Slightly paraphrasing that. But then we had all the back and forth. Even, remember, the second game played, which was at Golden State. At the end of the game, Enes Kanter made the mistake of trying to say, hey, what's up, to Kevin Durant, his ex-teammate. Yeah. Remember what Russell went off on him? You could hear the audio barely, and called him an extremely derogatory term. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
That we can't repeat on television. Maybe you can. I can't. I wouldn't even think about it.
Is it worse than what Draymond said?
Boy, that's a tough call.
I think it is.
We would have to say the two words to be able to debate the relative merits of those two insults.
I think everybody knows what they are.
Well,
The female dog in the hindquarters on the...
that one.
Yeah.
But the Russell shot at Kevin was, whoo.
Yeah.
And then we saw Russell yelling at him, I'm coming for you. And then it got so bad at the All-Star game. Remember, Russell wouldn't even shoot warm up on the same end with Kevin Durant. So don't tell me there's no serious beef here. That's a bunch of baloney. So now, to sum this up, why would this happen now? Because Kevin, I'm pretty sure, called to congratulate Russell Westbrook on eclipsing the Oscar Robertson triple average and triple-double for a season. And at that point, it looked pretty clear to me, and it's still pretty clear to me, that Russell Westbrook is going to win MVP. So Russell was accepting the call of congratulations from a position of strength, at least in Russell's eyes, because I'm going to say it again, whether you like this or not, he's a little more interested in starring than winning, as in being the solo star than winning a ring.
Correct.
And was he ever a solo star? I thought it was the greatest regular season any single player's ever had. Now, it got you where? It got you out of the playoffs in the first round. We went back and forth about that, although I thought Russell and the Thunder gave a pretty good account of themselves against the Rockets.
They did.
Okay, so in the end, each of the superstars really got what he wanted because Kevin seems really happy, and I got to give it up to him. I thought they were going to struggle with their chemistry. Maybe it's just because it's the Utah Jazz without George Hill, their point guard. But Kevin Durant has played huge the last couple of nights. He's looked really, really good. So I think he's really, really content with where he is because he joined forces with the best team, and he's now regarded as the best player on the best team, right?
Yes.
I think it's become his team, for better or for worse. We're going to see how that plays out. But in the end, Russell's the solo star, so he's extremely at peace with himself because he got his quote-unquote ring. He won MVP.
Right.
So I think they're both good with it enough that I get it, that they could actually have a phone conversation that would end amicably.
Skip, I agree with everything you just said. And KD tried to do it, and now Kendrick Perkins is trying to do it. Like this is a media-driven, this is a media-perpetuated story.
Yeah.
And it's not. Because if it wasn't as serious as it was, why would Russell not shoot on the same end of the court during All-Star? It's an All-Star game. The best players in the Western Conference are assimilated together. Okay, what's wrong? He's like, no, I want no part of this. And when he said, Enos, don't speak to his BA, what was that about? Now, for me, you know, when I leave, Skip, if I don't have any problem with you, I'm going to acknowledge you. Okay, everything's cool. Hey, man, what's up? How you doing, bro? How the family? How your mom? Tell your brother I said, what's up? You think any of that was going on in between then and now? Absolutely not. And but I tell you what, Skip, I am glad they're making peace because they spent 8 years together. I thought it was petty to begin with, but when emotions and feelings get involved, sometimes adults act like kids. This was very high schoolish. I'm gonna put a picture on social media, knowing the implication that it's gonna draw. Okay.
And by the way, the irony of the cupcake comment, it was Kendrick Perkins' pet phrase for soft players.
Exactly.
So, yeah, okay.
And then the photog vest. Now he knows Kevin Durant loves to take pictures. As a matter of fact, he had a press pass, a credential pass, and he was taking pictures at the Olympics.
And he also went to the Super Bowl in Santa Clara.
Yes.
And reportedly, that's where some of the Golden State Warriors began to, recruit him. This is going back. Yeah.
And then, hey, I just want, I love being over here. I'm with guys that's selfless. Russell's like, well, okay, I'm going to stay over here with my selfish teammates, and we're going to work this thing on out over here where I'm at. Skip, for me, Russell, in order for him to be, in his eyes, now he always thought he was a better player, but in his eyes, in order to get the cachet and to have other people view him as equal to Kevin Durant, he had to get an MVP. He was never going to get that MVP with Kevin Durant riding alongside him. Kevin
got one.
But and Kevin Durant didn't want to be known as the NBA's best player without a ring.
That is
correct. He doesn't want to be mentioned with Karl Malone and Barkley and Ewing. They were great players, but they don't have that ring. And see, I always viewed this. I never thought Kevin Durant loved the Warriors. It's like the idea of some women like marriage. It's not that they like marriage, they just want the ring. And if I get the ring, we can stay engaged for a little while. You know, hey, don't rush. I got my ring. I never viewed Kevin Durant as a guy, Skip, that was going to retire a Warrior. Did you? Did you think he was going to retire a Warrior?
Kevin Durant?
Kevin Durant. Now, I don't know if he'll go back to gold. I don't know if he'll go back to OKC, because here's what's happening, Skip. LeBron went to Miami. He won 2 rings. But people say, well, Dwayne Wade had won a ring before you got there. So this organization was good. But Kevin Durant saw when LeBron went back to Cleveland and he got that 1 ring, it's 10 times more valuable than the 2 he got in Miami. So although he might win a ring in Golden State, what would it mean? How would Kevin Durant be viewed if he won 1 championship for OKC, Skip?
So that's why, and Kendrick, by the way, Kendrick Perkins raised this issue last night, that he just threw it out there that he could see Kevin, if he makes a little run this year, and that meant wins the ring this year, that he would go back to Oklahoma City next year, which he has the option to opt out and do. Not to, I mean, he could go anywhere next year, but would he go back? I could see it happening, especially, I mean, they're going to have to close this deal this year, and they're now an even more prohibitive favorite in Vegas this year than they were a year ago over Cleveland. So I could see him going back because of this. Kevin Durant does have a big heart that's sometimes too big for his own good. Sometimes he feels and cares too much what people think of him. So I think he felt very guilty about leaving, especially those fans who had treated him like the king of Oklahoma City for all those years, high and dry. This year, with a team that featured just the solo star. That team ended up being pretty good and pretty fun to watch just because of Russell Westbrook's MVP year. I think he's going to win MVP. But I could see where Kevin also has some guilt about leaving his little brother, Russ. And I keep calling him little brother, even though they're only 2 months apart. They're only born 2 months apart. But it feels like Russell's a lot younger because he stayed at UCLA for an extra year for his sophomore year. So he came a year later, but he still sort of acts like little brother to Kevin, right? But Kevin does consider himself the older brother, and that he would love to do what you're talking about, which would be to win his first ring and guarantee put that in the bank. Okay, I got that one, so the pressure's off.
You're viewed, and Skip, you said, you took the words right out of my mouth. The pressure would be off. Now I can just go enjoy the game of basketball. Because you can say I enjoy it all I want to, but when you're as talented and as great as Kevin Durant is, that ring matters. Once LeBron got that ring, you look at the way LeBron has played. He feels like, I got the ring. So all that you're talking about, yeah, I got these MVPs, I've been All-Star Game MVP, but you didn't have a title. There's no but. So Kevin Durant's like, if I can just get this ring, the pressure will be off. But Skip, I don't know, Skip, because if you get a ring with the Warriors and then you go back to OKC, how will he be viewed? Not that he cares, because the only problem that I have, if Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook relationship was as good as they said it was in the beginning, he should have at least given him that call, given him that courtesy. Hey, bro, got some bad news. You know, I'm going to Golden State. Hey, Skip, I get it. It's tough. It's tough to leave someone that you have a relationship with, especially after 8 years and you spend 6, 7 months every day for 6, 7 months with that person.
Just allow me to say on a personal level, obviously I had to make a big decision to come and join forces with you, and I had to leave a show behind that meant a lot to me for 12 years, 13 years. And I had to leave a partner behind who still means a lot to me, as you well know, Stephen A. Smith. And when I made this choice, man, what was the first call I made and what was the hardest call I made? I had to call Stephen A. I can tell you where he was. He was asleep in his car before a playoff game at Detroit. I just know it because he said, you woke me up. He's taking a little nap. And I said, well, you better wake way up because I got something to tell you. So anyway, it was hard, but you got to do it, man. That's the first call you got to make,
and
right?
You know, and guess what? The Cavaliers were about to put the Pistons back to sleep. That's who they were playing.
That's what it was.
I know. But Skip, look, he understands that if he can close this deal, win the championship this year. Now, I don't know if he'll go back. That's Kendrick, and you have a lot more insight of this and how he views that organization and how he views the people in Oklahoma. But I do know this. If he were to win the championship for Golden State and then go back and can somehow, before his career ends, bring a championship to OKC, Skip,
that would work.
That changes the dynamic.
It would change the dynamic, and trust me, those people in Oklahoma City would welcome him back and re-embrace him as much as they booed him when he was there.
Of course,
for his return game. But
no matter what, LeBron won 2 MVPs in Miami. He won 2 titles, 2 Finals MVPs. But Skip, that one title that he brought to Cleveland elevated him.
I agree.
I mean, he pole vaulted.
Right.
Past a lot of people that
he did. Now, obviously, Kevin didn't grow up in Oklahoma City, but he grew up in his NBA days in Oklahoma City, so he considers it, it's his NBA hometown.
Correct.
And he helped put it on the map when it was a fledgling NBA city. Again, I grew up there, and I can't believe it still has an NBA. I never could have dreamed that it would have an NBA.
And that was what I was about to ask you, Skip. If someone would have told you when you were 16, 17 years old that at one day in your lifetime they'll have a sports franchise in Oklahoma, you're like, get out of here.
Well, we did have a pro team at the University of Oklahoma.
Stop it, Skip.
We did.
Yeah, because y'all had the best athletes money could buy.
Okay.
You sure did.
That was true. Sometimes, and I didn't care. I rooted for them anyway because they made me very happy, so I didn't care. But all we had was minor league baseball and AAA baseball and minor league hockey, and that was it, and I couldn't have imagined, especially basketball. Really? So it's there, it's thriving, and yet, in the end, you have to understand what Kevin Durant is made of. He's very complex. Again, big-hearted, but sometimes too big-hearted, which makes him more, to me, of what I told you, you guys, you and Chris Broussard were all over me about this, but he's more of a complimentary superstar. He's not the man. He's not the alpha. He's not the leader of the franchise. He doesn't want to be the face of the franchise. He's not built for that. But if he could win a ring with a little help from his new friends, boy, he got a lot of help from them last night. That was a tour de force what they did. Kevin had the second quarter, Steph had the first and third quarter, and then Klay took over in the fourth quarter. How do you beat that, man?
Yeah, it's going to
be hard for the Cavaliers or maybe the Spurs. We'll see how that works.
Which is bigger, the Thunder or the Sooners in Oklahoma?
Well, I used to scoff when they first got there to my friends. I don't live there anymore, but my friends started telling me, my high school friends, believe it or not, the Thunder have eclipsed the Sooners in popularity. And I said, that's impossible. Wow. And that's what they tell me, because they came so close. I mean, they got to the NBA Finals against LeBron. Remember that?
Yep.
It was huge.
But Bron. You know what Bron do. You know Bron.
I know what Dwayne did, and then I know what Mario Chalmers did in one of those games. He had a big
Mario
game.
Chalmers.
Woo! Remember that game? It was a Mario game.
Why would you do that?
The situation with Durant is a little different than LeBron to me because he's walking into a really ready-made situation. So I wonder if he leaves after this year, is that he's going to get called into question at all? Yeah. Not the legitimacy of it, obviously, but just... did he walk into a ready-made situation and ease his way into a ring?
Okay, but he took such a beating for doing this on July the 4th, right? Everybody condemned him on July the 4th.
Sure, but legitimately playing basketball. I mean, the Heat didn't win their first year together, so no one questions how hard LeBron and all of them had to work together to get those rings.
This would almost seem like a prearranged marriage. You didn't do no dating.
That's true.
You ain't take nobody out. You ain't about no flowers. You just saw the person and got married.
I mean, I don't think that, but I feel like that might be the story if he ends up leaving.
Whoa. Y'all crowning him. Do y'all know that man up in Akron?
If they win.
Do you, Skip Bayless?
If they win.
Do you know?
Who is he?
The man from Akron.
What's his name?
The 38-year-old up there?
From Akron.
Gloria James blessed us.
She
blessed us on December 30th, 1984.
Yep.
I'll never forget. It's ingrained in my mind, Skip. Behold.
They are a now prohibitive underdog in the potential NBA Finals.
They was an underdog last year.
Yeah, and they were down 3-1.
You can be an underdog, but when you got that wonder dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
No mercy. Thanks for listening, guys. Before we get to the next topic, here's Shannon with a message from ZipRecruiter.
Thanks, Joy. Hiring can be a real pain, and it can be difficult to know where to post your job and to find the best candidates. If you want to find the perfect hire, you need to post your job on all the top job sites, and now you can with ZipRecruiter.com. You can post your positions to over 200 job sites, including social media networks like Facebook and Twitter, all with a single click. It's that easy. Find candidates in any city or industry nationwide. Just post once and watch your qualified candidates roll into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Nobody has time for that. quickly screen candidates, rate them, and hire them fast and in person. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by the most powerful companies and thousands of small and medium-sized businesses. Right now, listeners of our podcast can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/undisputed. That's ZipRecruiter.com/undisputed.
Thanks. One more time, our listeners can try it for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/undisputed. Now back to the show. No mercy. Kevin Garnett had a mini reunion of his 2008 Celtics champion team on his Area 21 segment on TNT last night, but Ray Allen was missing from the reunion. Allen has had a strained relationship with the rest of that Celtics team since he left for the Miami Heat as a free agent in 2012. Perkins and KG talked about Allen last night. Let's take a listen.
People don't understand that this is real life for us, you know what I'm saying? And the situation with Ray is very sensitive, you know? And I think that when we all talked about doing this reunion tour, we was talking about, you know, guys that we consider loyal and part of this group. Just being honest, my 2 cents, man, when Ray decided to go to the Heat, I feel like he moved on. And he went to pursue another ring, and he got another ring. Shout to him. And that's it. You know, it wasn't no other Wizards. It wasn't no other Spurs. It wasn't no other Heat. It wasn't nobody. It was all Celtics invited to this.
Who go break the ice, you know what I mean?
Right.
And
exactly.
at this point in time, I don't think it's on nobody on here to break the ice. I actually think it's on Ray to break the ice. Like, if Ray want to make amends with anybody up here or whatever the case, I think it's on him to reach out and say, hey, P, I handled this wrong, man. We better than this. Hey, Ticket, I handled this wrong. Hey, Big Baby, I handled this wrong. Hey, Rondo, I handled this wrong, man. And just get it past us, man.
Woo. Ray Allen responded this morning on Facebook with an image of himself with the Heat pushing past former teammate Rajon Rondo with the caption, "The power to push limits." Rob Parker is with us, but Shannon, let me start with you. Whose
Shannon,
side?
you got a tissue?
Whose side? I have a whole box of
I just
tissues.
threw up in my mouth.
You're feeling sensitive.
Yes,
whose side are you on?
Skip, I'm gonna be real professional here, but I just want you to know if I was in the barbershop, I'd give it to you uncut and filtered. I'm on Ray Allen's side. Second of all, get these grumpy old-ass men off my TV.
Really? You're on Ray Allen's?
What?
Shocked.
Skip, as a free agent, you get to pick and choose if you want to stay, if you want to go. Skip, how did Kevin Garnett end up in Boston? He started out in Minnesota. And he talked about, he said Ray Allen went to chase a ring with the Heat. Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, who's sitting up there, I mean, I guess he got on shade because he way too cool because the last 5 years, Paul Pierce, okay.
Well, maybe the tears were coming down. He didn't want anyone to see them.
Maybe.
Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett left Boston, went to Brooklyn, the team with Joe Johnson and Darren Williams to do what, Skip? Take down the Miami Heat. Now,
I think he went there to collect checks, but that's okay. Yeah.
Well, that's what they did. That's what they did.
That's what they wind up doing, right, ultimately.
So Paul Pierce spent 15 years in Boston. He didn't want to go through rebuilding. So he went to Brooklyn, went to Washington, went to LA. Kendrick, you got sold. So this is what I'm starting to see, Skip. If you notice this, if a player leaves free agency, players are starting to become like fans. They get upset. Kendrick Perkins got traded. He's not upset at the Celtics. He got traded from OKC to the Jazz. He's not upset at them. Only Ray Allen, because, hold on. It's not up to Ray, it's not up to us to break the ice. It's up to Ray. Hey, Ticket, I did it wrong. AP. I tell you what, if I were Ray Allen, I would call him. I said, this is what I want y'all guys to do. I'd have called into the show. He said, I want every last one of you guys to walk out that building. And you can go left, you can go right, you can go straight. And when you come upon a rock, I want you to kick it.
Either way.
Either way. I don't care if I ever see you guys again or ever talk to you guys again. Skip, this is pettiness at the highest proportion.
And the other part, too, is obviously he felt unappreciated because when you leave to take less money to go somewhere else, tells you all you need to know, right?
Yes.
Skip, just imagine if you were on a TV show and you were unappreciated and you decided to go somewhere else. Wait a minute, I'm sorry.
I want to go play.
I can't even imagine.
You know what okay.
He said, I want to come. This up and coming, I guess I'm the King James. You know, I'm up and coming. But
my point is, it just sounds so crazy that they're holding this grudge. It just. What? And they want him to break the ice and grovel back to them. He was a big part of the championship team. Give him his credit. If you're really celebrating what happened that year, he has to be included. Otherwise, don't do it. What is the point of it? Don't do it.
I will agree with that point. I couldn't believe they showed up, Ray, so publicly. Why did you have to do it so on national TV live? But I do get their point about this. You have to understand who Ray is and was. He is his own man. He's not your basic brotherhood kind of guy, so he's not going to team bond. And what they were most upset about was it's the Durant-Westbrook parting issue. Remember, Ray did not take the time to make the call to the ticket, to Kendrick, to everybody, call everybody before the news got announced. He didn't call everybody together and say, look, I'm wrestling with this. You guys got to talk me through this, but I think I want to go do this. Can you roll with me on this? He just left. He just went to the arch rival.
Well, because he probably realized what those guys were going to be like, and that's why he walked.
Okay, but he cut the cord unceremoniously, and they haven't gotten over it yet. So you got to have some appreciation.
It's 5 years,
okay,
Skip.
but it's the Westbrook thing.
No, it's 7 years.
Yeah, it is.
It's 7 years, Skip.
No, I got it, but he didn't join the group. He didn't socialize. You know how Ray is. He is. I respect the heck out of him because he is a cold-blooded shooter because he's his own man.
Skip, think about this. Do you hear what Kevin Durant said? This is real life. Is he high?
You mean Kevin Garnett?
Kevin Garnett said, hey, what people don't understand, this is real life. Is he for real?
They just played a season. They won a championship. What's the real life about it? And you know what? He was a free agent, and Ray Allen decided to move on. I don't understand.
Did not
all these guys move on.
He did not fall aside to say, this is what I think I have to do. He didn't apologize for leaving because he just left.
Did they have camera phones back then? I'd have pulled my pants down and said kiss. Because first of all,
guess what?
They're not that close.
Ray just said kiss on what he posted, right?
Skip,
Did you see what he said?
He's unbothered.
And they said he had a strained relationship with Doc. He and Rondo had a strained relationship.
Everybody knows that.
So why, Skip, so tell me again, I just want to make sure I'm hearing this correctly. So why am I coming back if I got a strained relationship with the head coach, I got a strained relationship with the point guard, and my play time is being cut by a guy that you just drafted? So tell me, I need to know, just like in like a couple of sentences, why am I coming back again? Because you guys are upset.
Not only did he go win another ring, but he actually won it by himself with the greatest clutch shot I've ever seen.
It saved LeBron's bacon.
Legacy. He did.
He did.
He did.
Y'all should have tell that story.
He saved.
Well, that's what happened.
You, Kevin Garnett, you are Paul Pierce up here. Get out. Get out.
I'll tell you what, it's like chicken noodle soup. It's just so good. I love it.
I mean,
as Queen Petty, I do find this very entertaining. But what Ray Allen really should do is Ray Allen's a very healthy guy. He should put together maybe some like gluten-free, with like some sugar-free frosting and just make some cupcakes and send it to them.
I didn't know somebody could grow.
That'll be his breaking the ice.
How Kevin Durant get to be 6'11" and so petty? That's Ricky Skip. And you up here co-signing talking about he called his brother. This was the one time I just wish we could just like, please,
can't do it. They're hurt.
Hurt for what?
Have some sympathy for their hurt hearts.
Kevin Garnett chasing rings. Paul Pierce chasing rings.
You know what, Rob? I, for one, feel really bad for all of them.
I do, too. You got a tissue over there.
I have a whole box.
Please, I need one. I'm so verklempt.
Perk need to take that Beijing out that beard.
No mercy. Lavar, have you been surprised by all the reactions to your shoes?
Oh, not really. I expect this reaction on the fact that people are losing sight. They're looking at the price tag and not understanding that Lonzo's shoe is symbolic. That comes with a price tag.
Symbolic of?
Symbolic as he's the first one ever to come in here without even playing a game and have his own brand. It's not just a shoe you just go in a store or something like that and you say, you know what, let me get the Kyrie, the LeBrons, and by the way, throw in the ZO2s. Nah, ZO2s mean something. That's why the price tag is like that. That's what the shoe's worth. I bet you not one of those guys that I named sat in the room for the price of the shoe. We just give you the shoe and here you go.
Did you seek advice to come up with 495, or was that your?
No, I didn't have to seek no advice because it's mine.
And how did you arrive at 495?
I think that's what the shoe is worth.
That was Lavar Ball on the show yesterday. Skip, you also had a conversation with
did.
Lavar on Facebook Live
For
after the
45
show.
minutes.
Yes. So
Yes.
what's your takeaway?
I have several. I found Lavar, especially in the 45-minute Facebook Live, to be occasionally outlandish, as we all know. He was often funny, made you laugh there. And he sometimes went very deep with me because the more I'm around Lavar, the more I believe he thinks that he can, as he calls it, speak something into existence. The more positive you are, the more you say it, the more your mind will sort of believe it and make it happen. So he's trying to will his sons to the top of the NBA. And in the end, I'm going to say this again. I always conclude this about Lavar. I think you're with me on this. I can't help but like him because he has true, deep love for those great sons.
He does.
Whew. And I also went a little deeper with him about his wife. And he did acknowledge, I said, you're a public figure now. This has become sort of fair game. But she had a stroke just before Alonzo played Kentucky in the, obviously, the NCAAs. And she's having a hard time. She's still in the hospital. And I think it's been hard on those three sons. And yet he wouldn't use that as a quote-unquote excuse that I thought was a very legitimate excuse for Lonzo's play against De'Aaron Fox in Kentucky, because as he was there in Memphis that night, Dad and the two younger brothers stayed in the hospital room with Mom. You don't think that would distract the kid? Come on.
Absolutely.
I mean, come on now, because they're usually all at the game, and then nobody's at the game, and he had a bad game. And yet, all Lavar, he kept going back to, well, he had a hamstring. I didn't see any hamstring pull. Did you?
No.
I saw De'Aaron Fox
just running circles around him.
Circles around him. So we went back and forth on that, and I don't think Lavar loved that. But the other odd thing to me about Lavar Ball is he's taken a lot of beating for averaging 2.2 points at Washington State, but when he was at Cal State LA or at the LA Junior College, he was a really good 6'6", 270-pound power forward basketball player. But moreover, what he's actually humbled to a fault about this. Do you realize he was an NFL football player? Did you know this?
I didn't. I heard he got what? You got drafted, or he was a free agent?
No, he had no football background in college. And he made 2 practice squads of the Jets with Pete Carroll as the head coach, and then he went with his tight ends coach to Carolina, was on the practice squad there. So he's practicing with 2 pro football teams every day, and they thought enough of him, they sent him over to London to play in the old World League with the Monarchs. So he played a whole season of tight end with the Monarchs. Well, that's pretty good. I'm not saying he was great, but that you'd have some respect for that, wouldn't you?
Of course,
so,
of course.
But he's humbled to a fault there. He doesn't want to play that up, which tells me he's not trying to preempt his sons and make himself the star of this. He definitely wants his sons to be the star. And he also projected their heights and weights. The middle son, who's going to UCLA next year, he projects him as a 280-pound, 6'6" shooting guard in the NBA. And I said, Lavar, that just doesn't happen. No shooting guard is going to watch my son. Oh, okay. And he's projecting Lonzo next year to go 6'7", 220. With the right nutrition, exercise, and fitness. And the young son, who's the entertainer, as he calls him, he says he's going to hit 6'8" and be 220-ish by the time he hits the NBA. So these are his projections. But then the final point was, I pushed and pulled and prodded about, give me some idea about the shoe sales so far. And I got nowhere. And it suggested to me, my takeaway was, I don't think they're going very well so far. Or he would have had something, he would have started to front run on that a little bit and say they're flying off the, so to speak, shelves, even though they're for November.
Skip, you and I both, I had one perception of him before I met him. And I told you once he walked off the set, I said, Skip, I like him. I said, he's authentic, he's real. What you see is what you get. And I don't have a problem it's not a problem for me that he's thinking outside of the box. He's saying that, yeah, I believe my son is going to be good, and instead of everybody profiting off of him, why can't he and this family profit off of him. He was in the design of the shoe. Everything you see on the shoe is all about Lonzo. So I don't have a problem with it. And you know what, Skip? I was thinking about it all last night, and I was laying around, and I told Katie, I said, Katie, you know what? She's like, what? I said, I'm gonna buy a pair of shoes. She said, what shoes? I said, those Lonzo Balls.
Good
She's
for
like,
you.
why? I said, because you know why I'm gonna buy them? I said, because we see every group support their own. You look at the Asian community. They will support their Asian community if they're selling something or they're buying something. You look at the Jewish community. They will support them. I'm going to support Lavar Ball. Everybody's talking about, he's up. I bet you 25 million Americans, if I were to go to their house, I bet you they got some form of reality show on DVR. He's a walking reality show. That's what he is, Skip. But you might not agree with how he's gone about it. Yeah, I don't like, the only thing I don't like about him, and I told him, I don't like the fact that you're writing checks that Lonzo has to pay.
I agree with that, but his retort to that is, I raised him to deal with this pressure.
Yes.
Because he'll laugh at this pressure.
Yep, that's exactly right. Okay. So you expect him to do what he did in high school, win a state championship, go to UCLA and be an All-American, and all of a sudden say, you know what, I made it here, I ain't gonna work as hard. He's like, no. His whole life was about getting to the NBA, and he knew he had to go to high school, he had to go 1 year of college, and so now that once he gets to his ultimate destination, you think he's gonna relax? No, he's gonna work even harder because he knows he's here, and he knows he needs to show up. So I don't have a problem with anything that he said, and we get so upset with him, but what's the difference between what he did and what Kris Jenner did for her daughters? You don't think they talk about them? But everybody got a problem with Lavar Ball. I don't have a problem with him. I'm proud of him. I believe he is a great father, and I know he's going through some trying times right now. You mentioned it. I knew that his wife was dealing with some medical issues.
It's serious.
It's tough. It's tough. 3 boys. Now you're mom and dad. And you got, one of your sons getting ready to go to the NBA. Another one's getting ready to go to college. Yep. Another one's a rising junior. And you're still having to deal with, as he would say, mama in the hospital. That's tough on him. But I commend him because if you, just talking to him, Skip, you would never know that he has all that going on behind the scenes. So I'm going to buy me a pair of them Lonzo.
Good. Well, I'm with you.
LeVar also mentioned that he'd like for Lonzo to go to the Lakers. The NBA Combine begins today and goes through Sunday. Although
Come on, Lakers.
He's not going to be there, but that's not too much of a surprise. Markelle Fultz will attend the Combine.
But won't work out.
I bet Lakers get that ping pong ball.
Well, lottery takes place on May 16th, so we'll find out. No mercy. The Warriors swept the Jazz last night and are now a perfect 8-0 in the playoffs. Steph Curry had a game-high 30 points. Draymond Green had a triple-double with 17 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists. Before last night's game, Draymond talked about his team's projected finals opponent, the Cavs, and said he hasn't been impressed with their competition. He said, I thought teams would compete a little harder. I like to watch good basketball. When you watch Cleveland play, you're only watching one side of the good basketball. That's kind of weak. And Draymond didn't hold back when he was asked about what he said after last night's game. Let's take a listen.
Draymond, this morning you were talking about that you thought the Cleveland series was kind of boring, and I guess tonight on TNT, the guys were complaining that your series was boring too, and that basketball playoffs are boring, and these two dominant teams on a collision course. What do you think about that?
Blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's not boring. This team continued to fight. I think the way this team was fought, throughout this entire series, I think it was good basketball. They continued to execute their offense. They continued to compete on the defensive end. That was just my opinion. I don't expect everybody's opinion to be the same as mine. I think Cleveland's been playing great basketball. You watch them, it's been amazing. And then you watch other teams that they're playing against, not so much. So that's just my opinion though, but whatever, who cares?
You're not allowed to have an opinion, Draymond. You're just supposed to play basketball, all right?
True, sorry.
We're joined once again by Rob Parker. Rob, is Draymond right about the Cavs' lack of competition?
I want to applaud Draymond Green because he nailed it. It is absolutely the case, and this is for you. So I wrote a column, theshadowleague.com, yesterday, and I said LeBron James, when it's all said and done, is closer to Larry Holmes than he is to Muhammad Ali. And it's exactly about that, about the competition and who you beat. Who you beat matters. Larry Holmes, for people who don't remember, won 48 straight fights to start, right?
Yeah.
And was never considered the greatest fighter ever, even though he hadn't lost. It was because of who he fought, the competition, and it was all either older boxers who were at the end of their careers or Jerry Cooney, Randall Tex Cobb, guys like that, where people are like, who are these guys? And LeBron's legacy will suffer for the same exact reason. It's not that LeBron's not a great player, and I'm looking at you because you're the biggest LeBron guy out here.
Don't worry about what I am.
Okay?
Make your point.
And it's not that he's not a great player. It's that when you look at somebody, you do look at the body of work. The East is nothing. Cupcakes all over the place. Mm-hmm. And then when he gets to the championship, LeBron is 3-4. Now, if LeBron went through the East of cupcakes and wiped them up, and then was 7-0 in the NBA Finals, we would have no conversation. I would turn over the Michael Jordan, his greatness, his airness, over to LeBron. But when he gets to the biggest stage against the best talent, he's average, 3-4. And I can make an argument, whether people want to believe it or not, that he could be 1-6.
He could be.
Without a lot of help and a lot of things that went his way. So when it comes to the best of the best, he's not on that level. Muhammad Ali didn't have the best record as a fighter, but you know what, Skip? He beat the biggest guys out there on the biggest stage at the biggest times. That's what elevates you.
And when Larry Holmes finally fought him, Ali was a shell of himself and shouldn't have been in the ring that night because Angelo Dundee had to
and
throw
nobody gave him credit for beating Muhammad Ali at that point.
Holmes didn't want to fight Muhammad Ali. They were training. He was his sparring partner for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. And Larry Holmes knew at that juncture of Muhammad Ali's career, Muhammad Ali could not beat him.
He beat him to a pulp.
He didn't want to, I mean, he was just like looking like, stop this. He did not want to fight him. First of all, okay, you talk about LeBron's level of competition right now in the East. What about Golden State? So tell me about Portland and Utah.
We're talking about LeBron here. We know the whole NBA is down. I'm with you. The whole NBA is down, and there's only 2 or 3 teams, so I get that.
Okay.
But I'm going through LeBron's easy path.
No, he wasn't.
Going on 7 straight years to the NBA Finals. 7 straight years. It's ridiculous. It's not because of LeBron's greatness. It's because of the weakness of the East. That's why he's going.
I didn't know LeBron was talking about LeBron's resume. I thought he was talking about this right now. So I'm going to stick on topic, Skip. You don't mind if I stick on topic, do you, Skip? I didn't think so.
You don't often stick on topic.
Because he has no answer. He has no answer. That's why he wants to stick on topic.
Let me ask you a question. Did you say that about Magic Johnson in the West? When 2 teams in the 80s.
Stay on topic.
Stay on topic. We're not talking about Magic Johnson.
My thing is LeBron. Is Draymond keeps saying LeBron them has no competition, but they just swept the Portland Trail Blazers and the Utah Jazz. Now Utah gave up 45 points in the first quarter. In Game 1, they gave up 39 last night, and they were down by 22. But that's competition, right?
I'm not saying that's competition.
What are you saying then?
I'm saying that LeBron's 7-year run is tainted. It's tainted. It is. It's tainted because he hasn't played anybody. Who's the great players out of the East that are in LeBron's way? Okay. If LeBron has some great series of Game 7 and beat somebody, I don't know, Carmelo Anthony was great or Derrick Rose never got hurt, then I could sit there and go, oh, my God, look at what LeBron did. Okay. We can't say that because there's nobody playing.
When did Michael Jordan beat the Big 3 in Boston? How old were they when he finally beat them? If he was, no. But see what you do, what you try to do, you try to minimize what Bron has been able to do while highlighting what Michael has done. When the Big 3 Celtics, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish were in their apex, what did Michael Jordan do? When the bad boy Pistons were at their apex, what did Michael Jordan do? Rob, you were a reporter in Detroit. When the bad boy Pistons were at their absolute best, when the Celtics were at their absolute best, will you please tell the people at home that were not able to watch these games?
I'll answer for you. The Celtics had 5 Hall of Famers on the floor, often at one time, because Bill Walton was the 6th man of the year, and he would come in with Dennis Johnson, with Larry Bird, with Parrish and McHale. It's 5 Hall of Famers. It's just too much firepower, and they're too smart, and they're too tough. And if they have home court, you're not going to beat them in Boston Garden. I'm sorry. Nobody is.
I smell somebody cooking excuses.
Nobody.
Ooh, that smells good. That's a good
Those are
excuse.
facts, Skip. Those are facts.
Oh, it's facts.
Let's get back to the present, because we're talking about LeBron having gone to 6 straight finals.
Going on 7, right.
Going on 7, and probably it's a done. They should just call off the East.
Stop
right?
it, Skip.
Let's make it 7, okay? So let's go back to the first breakthrough was 2011. And Kevin Garnett at that point was in his 16th season. Paul Pierce was in his 13th, but looked like he was in his 16th season. And Ray was in his 15th season. That's your breakthrough. And then you suffer in the finals, to your Larry Holmes point, if you had then closed the deal with some huge, again, you've now joined forces with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh.
Couldn't win.
And you suffered the greatest superstar, or the worst, I should say, superstar meltdown in the finals we have ever seen against the Dallas Mavericks, who win in 6 games. That's how you didn't close that deal. Then the next year, you run into those Pacers. They had David West, Danny Granger, Roy Hibbert, George Hill, and Paul George, who should have just been called George Paul, because he's just another George Paul to me. He's just another LeBron wannabe.
How many games did they win that year, Skip?
Who, the Pacers?
Yeah.
They had a good year that year, but this was over in 6 because it really wasn't that close. And then LeBron broke through that year. He beat the baby Thunder, Durant, Westbrook, and well, they were babies at that point. They were, and it was close for a while. And to your point, we talked about that. But I'm going to give LeBron that. That was his first ring. That was a big one. And what did he say when he took the microphone at courtside? About damn time, is what he said, right?
Yep.
Remember that one? And then the next year, you get those same Pacers, except you substitute Lance Stevenson in there for Danny Granger, but it's just the same story all over again.
How many games did they win that year, Skip? Tell them. And they were the number 1 rated defense.
That took 7 games. So I'm going to give you that. That's, that's like fighting who's somebody Larry Holmes fought that was pretty good. Yeah, Ken Norton. I'll give you that's like Ken Norton. Okay? And then you finish that off with the Ray Allen game. And again, LeBron just came apart down the stretch. I know you say his numbers.
2 big turnovers.
3 in the last 3 minutes.
And at the end of that game, did you watch that? Did you see that?
I watched it. Watched the whole thing.
And
then he was almost in tears. Skip.
Yeah.
He was. They had a close-up. He was almost in tears before Ray Allen hit that 3.
Did you see tears?
Half the arena. You know that they ran out. You were out, Joy. You didn't stay there.
Half the
arena, Skip. They were banging on the door trying to get back in.
Find me a picture of that arena where there's an empty seat.
Hold on. So, let me have. Okay. What year? Okay, let's see.
Wait, I'm not finished yet. How about 2014 when you get the Bobcats Nets and then the same Pacers again in 6 games, and you get blown off the floor in the finals by the Spurs in 5 games by a record finals margin?
You see?
That's not very good.
You see how when the Cavaliers lose, it's all Bron fault. We don't make the same concessions for anybody else. We make an excuse for Michael Jordan. He was young. He was playing against 5 Hall of Famers. What was he supposed to do? He's Jesus in tennis. He's supposed to win. When he won that championship against the Spurs, Tim Duncan, I want you to. I don't want Skip to talk. Skip, don't you say a word up here. Is Tim Duncan going to the Hall of Fame?
Yep.
Wait, who won the championship against the Spurs?
LeBron in Miami.
That's the one Popovich miscoached at the
Hold
end.
on. Skip. Don't you say a word. Is Tony Parker going to the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
What about Manu?
Yeah, I guess.
Kawhi Leonard, does he look like he's on the Hall of Fame?
I have no idea. It's too soon.
Is he on the Hall of Fame projection?
Too soon.
How many guys has won 2 defensive players a year that didn't go to the Hall of Fame? I'm asking you a simple question.
No, right now, no.
How many guys have ever won 2 defensive player of the years and not gone into the Hall of Fame and a Finals MVP?
I don't have that on the tip of my tongue. I wouldn't know that.
You need to come up here with state. You need to come up here knowing this.
When
you come, you need to come
to
debate.
Shannon has a very, very excellent researcher, so that's why he has all his notes.
Joey, did I walk up into that trap like Sally did Ted Cruz yesterday?
No mercy. Last year, the Cowboys went 13-3, and Dak Prescott was named Offensive Rookie of the Year. But take a look at what Dak said the other day. In year 1, we just scratched the surface. We're just getting started. I know we've been hitting these off-season workouts, and we're just excited for what we can be as a team. Fox Sports NFL analyst Greg Jennings is with us. Welcome, Greg.
Good morning.
Do you agree with Dak that the Cowboys have just scratched the surface last year?
You know, I do agree with the fact that they have just scratched the surface. And here's why. I think offensively, going to start with the offense. That's where I like to see things happen. Offensively, when you talk about sections of your offense, rushing the ball, I mean, you can't get too much better than what they've done. Offensive line is great. They do a great job of creating holes. The passing game is where I believe that they will get better. I believe that Dak will get better with his accuracy, with seeing the field a little bit better, with hitting guys when they're open. Once the offense is structured around his talents and what he does, instead of, man, we got this guy, he has to fill in for Tony Romo until Tony gets healthy. Tony's healthy, but
playing so well.
We can't take him. We can't pull him. So I think that they're scratching the surface based upon that. Defensively is where I believe that they've gotten tremendously better with the draft alone. I mean, when I look at their defense last year, they're 14th in total defense, 5th in scoring defense, 26th in pass defense, and believe it or not, 1st in rush defense, which they weren't terrible defensively, but their secondary is what they needed to address, and they did that. 4 defensive backs, 3 defenders in the first 3 rounds this year. So 7 out of their 9 draft picks were defense. So I truly believe that they are scratching the surface and they are going to get better. However, the New York Football Giants, a team that they lost to twice, got better as well. Got much better as well on both sides of the ball. The Philadelphia Eagles got better. The Redskins, they are the Redskins. They kind of stalemated themselves, but that division didn't just – and when I look at the Patriots and the AFC East, you look like, man, no one really got better but the Patriots. When I look at the NFC East, they all pretty much got better. So are they scratching the surface? Yes. Will they continue? Will they need to really scratch hard next year? Absolutely.
Okay, but are you saying that you suspect there'll be some sophomore slump on the part of Dak Prescott?
I don't believe so. I really don't believe so. I think mentally he's one of the most impressive young quarterbacks that I've seen in a long time. And with everything that he had to deal with, he never lost a game for that ball club last year. 4 interceptions all year. I don't care how many times you throw the ball, that's a low number of interceptions for a rookie at that. That'll be hard to repeat. But I think his touchdowns in the passing game will elevate. But I don't think he takes a drop simply because, number one, I feel like he benefited from Tony being on the sideline because of how open and how willing Tony was to really enlighten him on the game and what he was going to expect or need to prepare for. However, I think it'll bode well for him now that he doesn't have to worry about, man, am I going to be replaced? Because let's face it, although he was playing well, you never knew what Jerry Jones was going to do from week 1 to week 16. So he doesn't have that concern anymore.
I told my man Shannon Sharpe, after I just watched preseason games, that this was the most impressive rookie preseason quarterback I'd ever seen. And I put the term poised in the same sentence with rookie quarterback, and it usually, as you well know, does not belong. He was poised in all 3 of his preseason games. So poised that I felt this aura of confidence around him I've never felt from a rookie quarterback. Brady was in his 2nd year when he took over, and I saw that same sort of aura of confidence and poise and sort of the effortless accuracy that I saw from Dak. So Dak is the most impressive first-year starter, young starter, that I've seen since Tom Brady. I'm not saying he's going to be Tom Brady, but just in the early going, he was unflappable under fire. And he was under a whole lot of fire from Tony Romo and Jerry Jones and just the hottest quarterback seat in the NFL to fall onto because Romo got hurt in the 3rd preseason game at Seattle, and it looked like he was going to come back by midseason. So I don't expect them to take a step backward. He's going to get better next year because he's made of really strong stuff, all the right stuff. My fear factor is I'm not sure his line is going to be quite as dominant and invincible as it was last year because Doug Free, the right tackle, I guess he retired. That's what he says. They put him on the retired list. So they've moved Lyle Collins, who was just a backup last year, coming off a toe injury. They moved him over to the right tackle from the guard. I think he's left guard.
Mm-hmm.
So that opens up another spot. They got that Jonathan Cooper, who once upon a time was
the first pick.
He was the 7th overall pick in the draft for Arizona, and then he bounced to New England, bounced to Cleveland, and then to Dallas.
I don't even think he finished the season with New England. They cut him.
Not. They just cut him, and he was on the Cowboys playoff roster last year. But I'm assuming maybe he would be the new left guard. I don't know, but are they going to be quite as dominant? I don't know. Doug Free could be kind of a sieve over there sometimes. But the point is, I'll throw this out. I want Dak to be committed to training in ways that you just ripped Tony Romo for not being. But Dak's been making the rounds in the offseason. It starts to give me a little pause, a little cause to pause. I saw him at the Women's National Championship game, which was Mississippi State.
I mean, as a team, you got to root them on.
Absolutely.
All right, okay, I got that. And then a friend called me the other night and said, Dak's at a Predators playoff game in Nashville. And I'm like, okay, but what's he doing? Maybe he should be in Dallas throwing to his receivers there. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out. I'm just saying I don't love it. I don't really mind it because you got to get out and about, like you say.
Yeah.
But at some point, you're going to have to be really recommitted to this process because Romo's not going to be looking over your shoulder next year. But all the way to the playoff game last year, you can say what you want, but they fell way behind. I did not think it was his fault. You kept saying, well, they had the ball X number of times. But once he got locked in on Green Bay, and again, Green Bay wasn't very good on defense as we saw in Atlanta, but he threw for 302 and they scored 31 points. And so I'm going to say that's pretty great for a rookie starting a playoff game opposite Aaron Rodgers. So in the end, I trust him, man. And I think they've just scratched the surface. I think they will take it up another notch.
Skip, Zeke is way under the surface. Have you seen Zeke this offseason? At the Mardi Gras, on that pontoon boat? Zeke up under the surface. He ain't scratching. He done dug a hole down up in there. He having him a good old time. I'm sorry, Skip. I'm sorry. I just had to get that one in. Skip,
I love it.
Here's the thing, Skip. Expectations are different this year. You're no longer a rookie. And everybody's not going to be, oh, my God, he's poised way beyond his years. There's an expectation now that you are to deliver the goods as you did last year. Now, this year, you play a first-place schedule. Last year, you had a last-place schedule. And they were 7-2 in games decided by 7 points or less. What happens if they go 3-4? Now, everybody, I think a lot of defensive coordinators were expecting him to crash back down to earth. They was like, okay, he can't keep playing like this. He can't keep playing like this. And he kept playing like that. But the thing is about, as a player, you have to go update your resume and go back to the lab. Every team that's on their schedule this year, that defensive coordinator is in his lab, coming up, devising a way. How do we stop Dak Prescott? I think the number one thing that you do, you don't allow Zeke to get almost 6 yards of carry on first down. Now we're going to make you win the game. And as you mentioned, Greg, you said he didn't lose any games, but I'm going to make you go win some.
I thought they were trying to do that last year, but go ahead.
But here's the thing, though, Skip. They will make adjustments. And the really good quarterback, if he's as good as you and I think he is, he can make those adjustments. But he was, 23-4 last year? Skip, he's going to throw more
23 touchdowns.
Yeah, 4 interceptions. Yep. He's going to throw more than 4 interceptions this year, Skip.
You're probably right about that. I'll give you that.
And you got awful lot of confidence in. And I know Brandon Carr and these other guys that they're not Talib and Richard Sherman, but you have put a lot of confidence in rookies. Now you know how rookie DBs not normally pan out.
The reason why I say they're going to get better.
Could it get worse?
You can't get too much worse than what they were in the secondary. And I just think when we look at their defense and we look at if there was a hole anywhere, it was on the defense in the secondary. Now I look at their defense, and yes, you lose guys, but your focus is on guys who now you're bringing in that you can kind of mold and nurture, and you can only go up. The reason why I say that they're scratching the surface, too, to your point, last year, those 7 games that were decided by 7 games or less.
7 points or less. Yeah.
7 points or less. Yes. They won those.
Yes.
As a rookie, he won those games. They won those games. That let me know right there that that poise, it transfers from just that huddle to play to confidence to swag, and he has what it takes. So I truly believe that now it'll get harder, yes, because of their schedule and because of the caliber.
Teams are gonna get better.
And even your approach with playing them now. But I also, on the flip side of that, they're now setting up their offense totally around what he does best. And I don't believe they did that until like the second half of the season, if they really went all in, because I believe they still were thinking Tony may come back.
Let me ask you a question. You said they went drafted 7 rounds, 7 of their 9 players selected was on the defensive side of football. They got any difference makers? That's what you need.
Absolutely.
If you don't have J.J. Watt, you need to have Talib and Harris or Sherman or Patrick Peterson on the back end. So where's the difference maker, Skip?
Taco.
Man, stop it, man. You just like saying that man's name.
I don't.
It's
I love him in Michigan.
Taco.
Hey, he'll be way better than anything they had last year rushing the passer.
For sure. I mean, they got no pressure.
How you let a guy sack you named Taco?
Hey.
How you let a guy beat you for a sack named Taco? He gonna get up doing some kind of dance?
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what. It don't matter what the man name.
Nah, I ain't let the man.
If he can play.
Nah, you better have a real name. You ain't finna get no name call you Taco.
By the way, Dak Prescott, you overlook, has one new toy to play with. Maybe he's not Christian McCaffrey, but he's close, and his name is Ryan Switzer, and he has a little scat to him. He's another Cole Beasley, and if you have Cole and Ryan in both slots, you got a little Edelman and Amendola going. Look out.
It doesn't concern you that he got Believe tattooed on the inside of his lip? That doesn't concern
Ryan
you?
Switzer? Heck no. Concern you? What's wrong with that?
He has Believe tattooed.
He has Believe tattooed on the inside of his lip.
I'm good with that.
That's a reminder.
I mean, I believe. I don't need it on me anywhere.
That's tough right there.
That takes some guts, man.
Well, I ain't got no guts. If somebody got all my guts.
No mercy. This is the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast, where we're delivering you an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the biggest topics of the day's show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Like us on Facebook at Undisputed on FS1, follow on Twitter at Undisputed, and catch us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, Monday through Friday on FS1. You can find us on channel 219 on DirecTV, 150 on Dish. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. That's it for us today. We're back tomorrow when we'll be joined by Jim Jackson, Greg Jennings, and Glenn Davis comes back. We'll talk to you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.